Okay, our next question, Jim, sent in to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Mike DeGeorge. Have you seen much of Brian Cage? He's rumored to be the next AEW wrestler. I think he's fantastic and does things a 275-pound wrestler has no business doing. I describe him as Lex Luger if he lived up to his push.
Oh, good Lord. Well, in addition to being 275, how tall is he? I've heard I have not, honestly, in the interest of full disclosure, I don't think I've seen a Brian Cage match. I have heard that he's a big guy that's very athletic and does good shit. How tall is he?
I'm not sure. I could look that up while we're talking.
Well, I mean, unless I don't see Lex Luger-ish unless he's also 6'5" or whatever, which Package was in his prime. But no, I really, maybe that might be a homework assignment is look at some Brian Cage, because I've heard, as I said, that he's big and very athletic. I haven't seen anything, so I can't.
6 feet tall.
Okay, then I don't think he's Luger-ish, but a 6 foot, 275-pound guy that can do some athletic shit. Unless, of course, he's just like, what did I say? Who was it? Sammy Guevara last week leapfrogged a guy, and then when he landed from the leapfrog, he just jumped up and did another standing backflip just for the fuck of it. When this guy says he does stuff that a guy that size has no business doing, that can be taken in one of two ways. Either there's no way that a guy that looks like that and is that size should be able to do this amazing thing, or there's no way that a guy that's that size and looks like that should be doing this. It doesn't make any sense. So hopefully he's not one of those, but maybe we got to watch some Brian Cage.
I think the big comparison to Luger may be that he's bigger than he should be. I guess that's a nice way I could put that.
Oh, okay. But I've found a lot of times these days, I think that what I've noticed is the reason why I don't like some matches is not because of what they're doing. It's because of what they're not doing. Because everybody is so fixated on and concentrated on the execution of the moves, body language is almost lost. As far as the difference in what the veterans used to do and what the guys now do is the veterans approached it as, how can we do this spot and make it look good? Look good meaning make it not look fucking phony, right? Whereas the guys now are like, okay, we do this spot. How can we do this spot to be flawless and be perfect or whatever, but not thinking about how to react to it. For example, I'm a heel and you're a babyface, right? I've got you selling on the ropes. I shoot you off and go to clothesline you, but you duck it and keep running and come off the other side. I turn around and try to backdrop you, but you leapfrog me and keep going, hit the ropes. I turn around, you drop kick me. Then you drop kick me again, then you arm drag me and grab the fucking arm bar, right? That's a standard, simple wrestling spot. Duck the clothesline, leapfrog, drop kick, arm drag, fucking arm bar, right? Guys will do that, and there will be no variation in the pace. There will be no variation in the body language. There will be no variation in their facial expression because they are concentrating on making those moves look as good as possible. But here's what they miss. When I shoot you into the ropes and go to clothesline you, I draw back and swing that right and you duck. My facial expression should be shit, and I should really fucking swing it and follow through with that right-handed motion. And when I realize I've missed, shit, and I do the look left and the look right. Like, where the fuck did he go for a second? Because I've got to kill that second because the guy's hitting the ropes. Then I turn to my left. I'll explain why in a second. You always turn to your left. I turn to my left, and also because that's the way my momentum was swung with the right-hand clothesline. And I see here he's coming off the ropes. I'm going to backdrop him. I bend over, but he leapfrogs me. When I stand up immediately, I've got to have the shocked look on my face. I know I didn't backdrop him. He went over me. Maybe I throw my hands out in front of me to register, whoa, what the fuck? And because I've got to kill a second, because he's coming off the ropes behind me for that drop kick. I can't just turn right around or then I'm standing there waiting on it. But I don't want to fucking turn so quickly. So I do the thing where I shuffle with my feet, where I'm trying to get my balance, and my left and right feet come up and down a couple of times. And then I turn to my left, and there he's coming off the ropes. Brian, when anybody drop kicks, almost everybody in the business, they throw their right foot up first, right? And when they're hitting the drop kick, visualize this, they're laying on their left side in midair, and their right foot is up the top, either in the chest or face area, and the left foot is below it, right? I'm correct in this? You're visualizing this?
I'm visualizing it as you're saying it.
Okay, so as I turn around and the guy drop kicks me, if when he leapfrogged me and I did, oh, where'd he go? And I turned to the right, then I am turning in such a way that I will never see him until his feet are up in my face. If I turn to the left, then as his feet go up, I see him. But more importantly, I can see from when I start to turn, I see how he's coming off the ropes. I can make eye contact with him. As he comes up and throws those feet out, I'm already ready to put my right hand in front of my face, just in case. And I'm already leaning into, tucking my arm to take the fucking drop kick on the chest. And I'm leaning into it so I can throw my right foot up and take the bump. And it's smooth. You always want to keep eye contact with, or at least an eye on your opponent at all times. I've seen a lot of guys, when somebody will duck something or they'll leapfrog them or whatever, they will turn to the right. And that's not only going against the momentum that you've probably set up with the spot, but also just because the way most things are done, you're not keeping an eye on your opponent until he's right up in your face. When you turn to the left, you can see him coming off. It's just, you get the flow there, right?
Yeah.
So what was the question?
We were talking about Brian Cage.
Well, we lost him a long time ago.
I think you were talking about the disappointment you have sometimes.
Yes, it's body language. That's the thing, is that there's no shock when a guy misses a move. He's not like, where the fuck did he go? There's no body language to portray in big buildings. And part of this is because guys now, when they learn, some of these guys don't ever get in a big building for years. In the territory days, like we just had Bobby Fulton on the Experience Friday. He started on small shows, but by the time he was 19 years old, he's jerking the curtain in the Memphis territory, which means he's making very little money and he's the lowest guy on the totem pole. But every Monday night, he's having a 10-minute match on First, jerking the curtain in an 11,000 seat building. And every Tuesday night, he's jerking the curtain in the Louisville in front of, a 6,000 seat building. Guys learn to work, and they learn their body language, and they learn the way to do these things in front of not only big crowds, but big buildings where you had to portray these things. Now it's just a constant go through the motion. In a lot of cases, it's because the moves are so complicated. And a lot of cases, it's because these guys started working and have mostly worked in very small buildings where you didn't have to really, portray what was going on. Everybody can hear you. They can hear you calling spots in a fucking headlock. Does that make any sense? Guys have just lost the ability to make this look like it's happening in the moment with the proper facial expressions and body language of shock or anger or, what a surprise, whatever the case may be. And when they're selling, they're watching somebody punch them in the face and they're just, taking a back step and waiting for the next big move. Instead of, boom, a guy just punched me in the face and I grab my mouth and my head snaps back and my knees buckle. And I'm on one toe on the right foot because I'm rubber-legged. They're just concentrating on all the moves. They're not portraying the build-up and after effect and the emotion involved. That's why it looks so rote by the numbers, repetitive.
Yeah, there's too many sequences that look like well-rehearsed sequences. There's too much running, just running past each other, running next to each other, looking at the other guy while he gets ready to run.
Oh, you know what I hate? And I've even told some guys about this when they did it. I'm like, what the fuck? When you will fucking do something to somebody, or maybe they've got a confrontation going on, right? And they do the fucking trade-off of forearms. And then suddenly one of them decides, well, I'm going to run and hit the ropes and come off with a tackle. You've seen this a million times, right? And they will be standing in front of this guy and they will turn their back on him and start running directly the opposite way from him. And number one, why would the fucking guy, when you turn your back on him and he's only a foot and a half away, why wouldn't he just kick you in the ass, grab you by the hair, fucking grab a rear naked choke, whatever? But then also, why would you expect the opponent to be there when you turn your back and do this little flourish where you start running and hit the ropes and come back toward him? It doesn't make any sense. I think we talked about that on a program here recently. Always hit the ropes to your right. You'll never go wrong. Remember it that way. Let's say you fucking pickled a guy and he takes a fucking bump. And as he's coming up, you want to give him a goddamn shoulder tackle. Don't turn your back on him and run straight behind you and then just go to the right, because that way you can always keep your eye on your opponent. And when you go to the right, you hit those ropes, you come off, he's seen you coming. So instead of taking your tackle, he drops down to evade you. So you jump over him, hit the ropes on the other side. He's coming up. Maybe he's going to hip toss you. If he hip tosses you, boom, he misses a goddamn elbow. It flows. It makes sense. It's just these little things that we're going to have Tom Pritchard on The Experience this coming week, who's one of the best trainers in the world today. And we'll probably talk more about just breaking these simple things down, but the matches flow better. Everybody's safer. You keep eye contact with people. You know what they're going to do ahead of time, even if it's just that fucking, I'm sending you this by telepathy through my eyes. You know to watch out. Something's coming. The little, and to make things look more spontaneous instead of just a pre-rehearsed, choreographed series of gaga. That's the art of working in wrestling, and that's what not enough people are paying enough attention to this.
Well, Jim,
sort of like my answer to that question.